I love the UFC, but recently it's just been there's a lot of things that I just completely disagree with. And I'm going to be going over a few things here that I completely disagree with, you know. It might be individual fighters, it might be decisions as a whole, but here are just a few things that I completely disagree with and I'm not happy about, so it's in a rant. First of all, we've got Merab. Why is he wasting his legacy by refusing to fight Sterling? Just fight each other. I know they're friends, but there's no friends in the fight business. So just fight. Like, Merab's in his prime right now. He should be building legacy. He should be a champion, or he should be fighting for a belt. Why is he wasting his legacy by refusing to fight Sterling? And why does he get so pressed when anyone brings up the fight with Sterling? Someone said it to him and he started trying to fight a fan. Just fight, man. Because Merab, out of every other bantamweight, has the best chance of beating Sterling. I don't know why he doesn't do it. I think what the Merab and Sterling think is going to happen is Sterling wants to fight Volkanovski, and I'm sorry, there's no way that Sterling beats Volkanovski. So Sterling's going to fight Volkanovski and move up to lightweight. And then he's going to lose to Volkanovski, and then he's going to be the champion. And then he's going to have no choice but to defend his belt. So Merab's either just going to have to sit there and fight everybody without having a belt on the line just because he wants his friend Sterling to have it. Or Sterling just stays at lightweight with no belt. So either way, if neither of these guys can have a successful career, because Sterling's not beating Volkanovski, and if Sterling's not beating Volkanovski, they're going to have to fight eventually. So I'm not a fan of Merab just sitting out, wasting his entire legacy because of this. He's just beating Petr Yan. He beat him way more convincingly than Sterling did. He's got the tools to beat Sterling, but he won't. Merab's a better... I'd say Sterling on paper is a better fighter, but Merab still has the best chance out of everyone at bantamweight. But I'm not a fan of Merab just sitting there doing nothing, not fighting anyone, man. The next thing I'm not happy about is a lot of these UFC champions are taking way too long to fight. There's a lot of active champions in the UFC. We've had Volkanovski, who's just fought at UFC 284, and he's going to be fighting again at UFC 290. Brandon Moreno just fought at UFC 283, I believe, and he's going to be fighting again at UFC 290. We've had... those are just some names, right? We've got Brandon... I just said Brandon Moreno. We've had Aljamain Sterling, who's just fought at UFC 288, and he's already going to be fighting at UFC 292. So we've got a lot of active champions, but we've also got a lot of inactive champions. John Jones fought in March of this year against Cyril Gane, won the heavyweight belt, took no damage in that fight. The worst damage he took in that fight was a groin shot. Took no damage in that fight, and he should have been fighting in July. He was meant to be fighting on International Fight Week at UFC 290. We're now in June. We're less than 2 weeks away from UFC 290, and John Jones still hasn't got a fight booked. I don't know what's going on with the Stipe fight. That was supposed to be the fight, but we still haven't got a fight booked. So it seems like the earliest Jones could come back is going to be late August or September. And that's not even a promise. He might not even be back by September. So John Jones is probably going to end up taking off 6, 7, 8 months for nothing. He took no damage in that fight. Same for Leon Edwards. Leon fought Usman, I think it was March as well. I think it was, March against Kamaru Usman. And he was supposed to be fighting Colby in like July. We're now in June. He still hasn't got a fight booked. There's no reason Leon Edwards should be taking this much time off. Same with Jamal Hill, but I kind of understand Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill hasn't fought since January, and we're now in June. Still hasn't got a fight booked, but I assume what Jamal Hill's doing is he's waiting for Yuri Prohaska to, heal up so they can do that big fight. Probably targeted at UFC 293 or 294, so I somewhat understand that. But people like Leon Edwards and John Jones, I'm sick of waiting for these champions. Either pay them more or just force them, man. If they're just asking for more pay, give them another 100k. Who cares? We want to see it. Let's just do it. My third rant is kind of the same with about fighters laying off, but it's about Khamzat Chimaev. What a waste of a prospect. Now, I can guarantee when Khamzat Chimaev fight week is next, it'll be all hype, but the guy has just wasted over an entire year of his career. He's in his prime right now. Prime athleticism. He's the best he's ever been so far. He's the best he's ever been. He's got the most popularity he's had, and he's kind of just thrown it away. UFC 279, he was scheduled to fight Nate Diaz. Couldn't make weight, so that's one thing. Couldn't make weight at welterweight at all. Ends up fighting Kevin Holland. Submits him in one round, ragdolls him, as we expected. And he was supposed to be making like a middleweight debut. That was in September of 2022. We're now June 2023, late June. He still hasn't got a fight. Not even a fight announced yet. No fight booked. Apparently he's going to be fighting in Abu Dhabi in October, which hopefully he can. But if that's the case, then that's still 13 months gone. 13 months of his career wasted. 1 year in MMA is a long time. Tom Aspinall's just had to take a year off, but that's because of an injury. 1 year is a long time off in MMA. And especially for Khamzat Chimaev, who's meant to be this rising star. I don't know who he's going to come back to. I think it's going to be Usman probably. Maybe Paulo Costa if he beats Ikram. Maybe even Jared Cannonier, probably middleweight. But I don't know. But Khamzat Chimaev just wasted an entire year for nothing. There's no injuries that we know about either. So it's not like he's been off for injury. So he's basically just wasted a year for nothing. But yeah, I don't know why he's done that. Last thing I'm going to rant about is Chito Vera or Marlon Vera versus Sandhagen. So Sandhagen versus Marlon Vera was a fight night around a month ago, 2 months ago. And it was meant to be a good fight on paper if Sandhagen beat Marlon Vera, who's only like a fight away from a title shot. And if Marlon Vera won, likewise, he was probably only a fight away from a title shot. Sandhagen pretty much dominated Marlon Vera every round. The result was a split decision, but it should have been a unanimous decision. But Sandhagen dominated Marlon Vera for pretty much every round of that fight. And for some reason, UFC have decided to give Corey Sandhagen rank 11 Umar Nurmagomedov, and they've given Marlon Vera Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo has literally just fought for a belt. I don't know why they're doing this. Why is Sandhagen being punished with an up-and-coming prospect at rank 11, and Marlon Vera is being rewarded with Henry Cejudo, who's a huge name, who has just fought for the belt? And I've noticed this a lot in Marlon Vera's career. He's already had a pretty smooth career. He gets a fight with Sean O'Malley. He gets a fight with Dominic Cruz, which is an old Dominic Cruz, and he still was kind of getting dominated. Well, not dominated, but he was getting beaten up until that head kick. And then he gets a fight with Sandhagen. He's had a pretty straightforward career. He even got a fight with Frankie Edgar, an old Frankie Edgar, where he got a free head kick. I feel like Marlon Vera's career has been too kind of, I don't know, it's kind of been tailor-made for him. And it's so clear that even after the loss, they just want the rematch with O'Malley. There's no reason why Marlon Vera should be. Because what if Marlon Vera beats Cejudo? He doesn't deserve a title shot. Because if Marlon Vera beats Cejudo and Sandhagen loses to Umar, then there was no point in Sandhagen versus Marlon Vera. It just doesn't make sense. It should be the other way around. It should be Sandhagen facing Cejudo and Marlon Vera facing Umar. It doesn't make sense, but that's my rant for today. Just get a few things off my chest, man, but it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of bad decisions, both by the fighters and the UFC, but hopefully, I don't know, they can correct them.